What's up, everybody? Hope the day is doing good. So I was scrolling across Reddit today, or yesterday. I had to go back and find this post. And I came across this post: the ancient theory that blue-eyed people are of unnatural origin. Um, if you want to read this, I mean, go ahead. It's interesting. It really just has to do with genetics. But that's not really what I wanted to show you guys. Scrolling through the comments, I stumbled across the user Universal Survivalist, and he went on for quite a while saying he's confusing blue eyes with ginger-haired people. Now, I'm not saying any of this is true. I'm not saying I believe it. But my job is to simply prevent the is oh my God, to simply present the information. There we go. And you guys come to your own conclusions as always. But I just found this interesting, so I wanted to share this guy's information with you. All right. Universal Survivalist. He's mixing blue eyes with ginger haired people. Gingers are well attested throughout history as descending from Canaanites. Rabbit hole, pre flood, DNA manipulation, Nephilim, those that survived after the flood, and we are now at modern day gingers. Introduction. The biblical narrative of Esau, described as red, covered with hair like a fur coat. God stated, Jacob I loved, but Esau I hated, in Malachi 1, 2 through 3, and Romans 9:13. Why does he say this? Let's look at the pre-flood evidence for DNA manipulation. Two theories exist. Number one, there was Elohim seed in the water animals which were not destroyed by the flood. Or number two, the daughters-in-law of Noah had Elohim DNA and were therefore Nephilim themselves. I will only be addressing the latter as a potential and will resort to using Bible verses only, so as not to be accused of using extra biblical sources. As a quick background, sons of God are the Elohim of Psalm 82 and Job 1 and 2. The Bible mentions that although angels do not marry and are not given in marriage, Matthew 22:30, and in Genesis 3:15 we read, "And I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your seed and her seed. He shall bruise you on the head, and you shall bruise him on the heel." Genesis 3:15. So clearly, this speaking serpentine entity had seed, and Revelation calls him the serpent of old, Satan. Satan being a cherub or a seraph, depending if you are reading Babylonian or Egyptian origin, is identified as having seed. And by seed, one understands in essence DNA, because that what is transferred in a seed, the blueprint to the life to be procreated. Genesis 6, 1 through 4, speaks of the sons of God, and they clearly copulate with women because they have children. We are going to assume, even if you don't want to agree, that they are not humans for this explanation. I'm not being dogmatic about this response, but I am sharing some knowledge for what it's worth. The Nephilim were on earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God came into the daughters of men, and they bore children to them. Those were the mighty men who were of old, men of renown. Genesis 6:4. This phrase suggests that the Nephilim were not only present before the flood, but also appeared again afterward. This has led to various interpretations, including the possibility of a second incursion of fallen angels, or the survival of Nephilim genes through Noah's family. There is much more to be said, but Jude and 2 Peter describe those that have left their abode are kept in chains. It is for this reason that I do not have sufficient confidence to believe another Son of God would repeat Genesis 6:4, especially knowing what these first are enduring for their disobedience. Let's begin. If we pay attention to the language of those boarding Noah's Ark, we will notice that every group is followed with the words, "after their kind." On the very same day, Noah and Shem and Ham and Japheth, the sons of Noah, and Noah's wife and the 3 wives of his sons with them entered the ark, they and every beast after its kind, and all the cattle after their kind, and every creeping thing that creeps on the earth after its kind, and every bird after its kind, all sorts of birds. Genesis 7:13 through 14. This passage was already mentioned in chapter 6, and that phrase, quote unquote, after its kind, is mentioned only after the animals, but not after Noah's family. The implication being that the 8 souls are not all of the same kind. We read that Noah was tamim, translated as perfect or without blemish, undefiled. Genesis 6:9. Noah and his wife being Akkad, God say, being Akkad, God would say the same of both of them. I'm not going to sidetrack on this. Both being undefiled, their sons could likewise not have been corrupted with the seed of the Elohim. So why couldn't the Bible add after their kind to Noah's family? The implication is that the wives of the sons were corrupted, and given the verse, God looked on the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted their way upon the earth. Genesis 6:12. That would infer that all flesh other than the animals God kept undefiled, and Noah and his immediate family. But the daughters-in-law were not included as blood relations to Noah, cursing the grandson. This is where it gets curious. Noah plants a vine and gets drunk, and the Bible drops an Easter egg when it uses the phrase, saw the nakedness of his father. Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father and told his 2 brothers outside. Genesis 9:22. That is the same phrase used in several other places to describe sexual union, but not that Ham united with his father, but with his mother, as per, you shall not uncover the nakedness of your father's brother. You shall not approach his wife. She is your aunt. Leviticus 18:14. This language is highly cryptic, and for good reasons, because it becomes evident that Noah understood something. Instead of cursing Ham, who tried to lay with his own mother, Noah curses his grandchild, Canaan. So he said, cursed be Canaan. A servant of all servants he shall be to his brothers. Genesis 9:25. That is most peculiar, but it seems to make sense in this light. Ham, after knowing his Nephilim wife gave birth to a child, and the child had Nephilim traits. Maybe his wife didn't outwardly display any phonetic types or traits, but the child made it perfectly evident that she had Nephilim DNA. So any other children he would have had with her would very likely also be carriers of Nephilim DNA. Seeing he had little to no choice convincing his brothers to share their wives to raise up a house for himself, when his father had become drunk, he saw an opportunity in a pure tamim mother. Noah blames the grandchild for Ham's behavior. He was desperate. If we follow Canaan's progeny, it has many with Nephilim traits. This is one way that the Nephilim seed passed over the flood. Besides this method, there is also the possibility that Gnostic witchcraft of the gods was employed for transhuman and animal genetic mutants, but the key remains. Elohim's seed had to survive somehow in order that it be used. Examples of Nephilim after the flood. Here are 3 examples of Nephilim in the Bible after the flood. Yet it was I who destroyed the Amorite before them, though his height was like the height of cedars, and he was strong as the oaks. I even destroyed his fruit above and his root below. Amos 2:9. A mature cedar today grows anywhere from 20 feet to 65 plus. These are the giants Israel saw when they went spying the land. If they were only 7 to 9 feet tall, I don't think they would have been that scared of them. Now Ephron was sitting among the sons of Heth, and Ephron the Hittite answered Abraham in the hearing of the sons of Heth, even of all who went in at the gate of his city, saying, Genesis 23:10. The name Ephron meant fawn-like, and names generally had meaning back then. Descriptive meaning like Esau. Ephron was part human and part goat. The Hittite have a really interesting ancient artifacts of human-animal hybrid drawings. Think Baphomet, Green Man, and the UK lore. Benaiah, the son of Jehodiah, the son of a valiant man of Kabzeel, who had done many acts. He slew 2 lion-like men of Moab. Also he went down and slew a lion in a pit in a snowy day. 1 Chronicles 11:22. That is part human and part lion. And so you don't confuse things that the same verse has two humans, Benaiah and his father, the one lion and the two lion-like men. There are obviously other examples. I will fill in bold lettering as I go. If you would like the quote-unquote theory of everything post, let me know. I can take us all the way to mRNA vaccines and what it all means. All right, well, I mean, that's the end of his commentary on the Gingers and the Canaanites, etc. So if you were just interested in that, you can leave now. I do find that very interesting, though. I think it's, to me, it's, I'm thinking of it in a comedic way, but you know how we all grew up watching South Park and everything, and it's how gingers don't have souls, right? Now, obviously, that's a stretch, but it is a very interesting connection. Gingers don't have souls, and then we have this, I don't know, offhanded comment. But here, now it is really short if you just want to stay the extra 5-10 minutes. But we are going to read his condensed theory of everything. Here is some more for now. Israel destroyed Canaan as commanded by God for the drinking of blood and cannibalism. These are the guys who literally burnt babies alive out of hatred for God because he didn't accept their Nephilim DNA. The conquered Canaanites became captives and were forcibly converted to Judaism. There is enough history to show they went underground, creating satanic opposing religions, Baal worship against the Hebrews, plotting against them at every opportunity. Jews who say they are Jews but are not. Those captives later became Phoenicians, and there is significant evidence of Phoenician integration into the ancient Greek culture. Phoenicians are the direct descendants of the Canaanites. They brought writing, the alphabet, Baal worship, the Eye of Tanit, later transliterated into the pyramid and the all-seeing eye, Delos and the Oracle of Delphi via Carthage. It would be highly unusual if the Phoenicians didn't mix with the Greeks, given their influence on the Greek culture. It is likely that all Greek royals have some Canaanite DNA. Today, most Canaanites are identified with modern Lebanese people. Tyler Smith and his colleagues sampled ancient DNA from 5 Canaanite people who lived 3,750 and 3,650 years ago. Though the skeletal remains were buried in a hot and humid region along the Mediterranean, the scientists were still able to extract genetic material. They mined the petrous bone, a region of skull behind the ear that's also the densest bone in the body. The discovery that the tough petrous bone protects DNA like a bank vault in recent years has greatly advanced the study of ancient DNA. The geneticists sequenced the Canaanite genome and compared it to genomes of modern people, including Jordanians, Palestinians, Syrians, and others from around the world. The comparison revealed that 90% of the genetic ancestry of people in Lebanon came from the Canaanites. The other 10% was of a Eurasian steppe population, which is where Vlad the Impaler's descendants, the Basarab dynasty, originated from. Dracula drank blood, maybe some truth to the rumors. Astonishingly, England believes it is the house of Israel, the tribe of Ephraim, the firstborn of God, Exodus 4:22, Jeremiah 31:9. Its bloodline does stretch back before the coronation of King David to the Egyptian royal house, thus making it the oldest living dynasty in the world. The last royal house of Egypt was the Ptolemaic dynasty, founded by Ptolemy I, one of Alexander the Great's generals. This dynasty was of Greek origin and ended with Cleopatra, hence Cleopatra's Needle in London. King Charles' father was a Greek king. King Charles is the direct descendant of Dracula, and by extension the Canaanites, Nephilim DNA. Funnily enough, Charles almost explodes, swollen fingers, if he is in the sun for too long. Is it the condition known as the Dracula disease, aka porphyria, a genetic inherited blood disorder? Is this also why the Prince of Wales' coat of arms states the Black Prince serves the dragon at the bottom? Black in relationship to him being a creature of the night and servant to Satan. It was abundantly proven in the pamphlet entitled 47 Identifications of the British with Lost Israel that the royal family could not be descendants of Ephraim, Israel, Jacob, unless Queen Victoria was in a line with David, it being written, ought ye not to know that the Lord God of Israel gave the kingdom over Israel to David forever, to him and to his sons, by a covenant of salt. 2 Chronicles 13:15 and 21:7. Ireland and Scotland have always been able to trace David's seed to Queen Teffy of Ireland, who was the daughter of Zedekiah. But the difficulty until recently has been to supply a chart of the line from Queen Teffy to King Fergus of Scotland. This has since been supplied through the valuable research of Reverend A.B. Grimaldi, M.A. I don't know. Britain's Israel roots are still in place, just not through the German Dracula Canaanite descendant currently on the British throne. The Israeli embassy in London is on Crown land, and it was Britain who created the new Jewish state. The queen's son and male heirs are circumcised by a mahal, and a rabbi dutifully visits the family every Erev Shabbat. Sir Ger Starmer is also Jewish. However, the moment that usurper tries to sit on the throne of Israel, all hell breaks loose. The closest connection we have to a true descendant of David is in Scotland, through King Fergus and the 7 clans of Seal Alpin, ending with the McPhees, which were almost hunted to extinction. Wonder why. They know this, and that's why they back places like Khazar, Ukraine, because the flag symbology of Ukraine and its Lucifer sigil is the polar opposite, or as above, so below, Emerald Tablet reference, to the McPhee coat of arms. Funnily enough, the motto Pro Reg on the McPhee coat of arms is a Latin phrase that translates to for the king. It's often used in a religious context, specifically to express the idea of living under Christ's kingship. The true descendants of King David will succeed to Christ. These usurpers will not. Very few descendants of the McPhee clan remain. They are completely unknown, but some do still exist. Rabbit Hole, Ishtar, blood-sucking owl monster, Strix mythology, Dracula, God, flower from the tree of life, flower petal watch, 144 light, right-handed DNA. All right. I know that was a lot of information. Take your time to go back and read the posts. Like I said, I'm not here to provide my opinion. I mean, if you guys want it, I can give it. I'm simply here to present you information, and you guys come to your own conclusions. As always, keep seeking the truth. Keep seeking God. Uh, well, yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll see you guys in the next one.